Hey, friends, welcome to another episode of Not Your Mama's Podcast. The title of this episode is How to Achieve Balance in Wellness and Lifestyle. In this episode, we are speaking with Bryana Gregory, a wellness and lifestyle coach, pharmacist, and health advocate. She believes balance and personalized wellness are the key to a happy and healthy life. As a wellness and lifestyle coach, she helps people take back control of their health, success, and mindset so they can focus on showing up as the best version of themselves. That is what we are about here on Not Your Mama's Podcast. I'm so excited to have you on. I struggle with balance. I know other moms struggle with balance. But before we dive in to the topic today, give us a little bit more about your background and how you got to where you are today, Bryana.
Yeah, Christina, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. And just like you said, the reason that I ended up where I'm at today is because so many people feel that there's this discrepancy in balance in their life.
Mm-hmm.
And I really think that we tend to expand to our environment and always want to put more on our plate. And I'm exactly the same way, which is how my business and my profession is born. So I grew up playing sports when I was young, from a young age, and actually played competitive golf through and after college. But with that being said, whether or not you're an athlete, you tend to put a lot on your plate because you're expanding to your environment and you're really wanting to have an impact in as many places as you can in many places possible.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're a really driven person, right, you put more and more and more things on your plate, and eventually you feel like your concentration and your effort is being split between homework, home life and work life and those types of things. And you don't really end up giving the best version of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I've found myself in this position many times as a kind of starting as a young kid and through college and as an athlete and as an adult, as a professional in many areas of my life. But, I've always had an interest in health and medicine. My dad was a dentist, and I think that's kind of where that interest came from.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, later on in life, he got prostate cancer. He was diagnosed with prostate cancer. And I'd be lying if I didn't say that that didn't have a really big impact in my life and shifting my focus.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, when we get really heavy diagnoses like that, a lot of times it can have a lasting impact in a negative or a positive way.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I would say it's both, but it's really shaped me into the healthcare professional that I've been, where I decided to go to pharmacy school and help people get healthy because he had to go through so many different types of treatments as a cancer patient.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of those treatments involve pharmacy, right? But there never really was a focus on the wellness aspect or how do you heal what happened? How did you get here? There's like so many questions, right? And eventually he passed. And of course, that's really impacted my life and I miss my dad dearly. And at the same time, I get to share my story with people and hopefully impact them to encourage them and empower them to live the most healthy version of themselves.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
And unfortunately, during his treatment, there was a lot of oversights. And, I think things like that make us better clinicians. They make us better people, have better attention to detail. As a pharmacist, I have to have extraordinary attention to detail. And at the same time, the more and more people that I talk to,
Mm-hmm.
the more patients that I talk to, the more clients that I talk to, they're craving and begging for balance. Particularly over the last couple of years, we've been so knocked off kilter of any type of balance that we had before.
Mm-hmm.
So, amidst all this and my own personal experiences and struggling with my own health, basically overdoing myself, I tend to grind myself down to the point where there's nothing left. It's an empty cup to pour out of. And how do you pour into your family? How do you pour into your businesses when you're not being fueled? Instead, you're in a state of disbalance or deficiencies, right?
Totally. I don't know how people do it. I pray every day for balance.
Yeah.
The husband needs attention, the kids need attention, the house needs attention. I want to focus on myself and give myself attention too and working on my business or whatever it looks like I just feel like I fall short sometimes and it's overwhelming and I feel like I'm pulled in all these different directions and I know I'm not the only one that feels that way. And it's
Right.
like what's the secret, Bryana? How do we get the balance and everyone's happy? Like the kids feel like their needs are met, your husband's needs are met, your needs are met. I mean, I feel like this is really a heavy season for me right now when it comes to this topic.
Yeah, you bring up a really good question. And with my coaching clients, everything is personalized and individualized. And
Mm,
that's part of the answer to your question is that the way that I practice medicine, the way that I address my clients is that you, Christina, are different than myself, Brianna. Our bodies
yeah.
are different. They're made differently. We're both women, so we have a lot of things in common. But at the end of the day, the foods we tolerate, the stressors and the stresses that we tolerate are completely different. And so getting in front of somebody and really an entire team, a healthcare team, because you always need a healthcare team around you and a
Yeah.
support system around you that is going to understand you for who you are and see you as an individual is beyond crucial. It's beyond crucial because, in my opinion, society and just cycles of femininity over time has showed us that as women, we have to do it all.
Mhm. We do.
The beauty of understanding that we don't have to brings us into our natural balance state that we as women really want to live in. We want to live in a state of low stress and balance and being able to expand our energy and be very vibrant and be very enthusiastic. And actually, that's a very attractive state to be in.
Mhm.
And I honestly believe that to do that and to get there takes a high level of consciousness, a quiet mind, being able to sit back and reflect and understand what it is that fuels you to make you the best version of yourself. For me personally, what this means is being very intentional. I use the word intentional a lot. I believe that relationships, whether romantic or professional, should always be very intentional. I think your words should be very intentional. I think your actions should be intentional, not just towards others, but first it starts in yourself,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
The words that I choose to use towards other people and the way that I treat myself with self talk must be intentional. And I know that when I treat myself intentionally, that other people understand and perceive that. And I truly believe that that's where it starts. It starts with intentionality because you can get 10, 20, 30, 40 years down the line and kind of say, I don't really know how I got here. I haven't really been doing it for myself all along. And
Mhm.
that's the unfortunate thing. I want to see everybody be in a state where they are full of joy and intention and passion and where there's enough to go around for everybody.
Yeah. It's so true. People just kind of live their life and then they end up like, how did I get here? How did
Mm-hmm.
this happen?
Mm-hmm.
And you've totally put yourself on the back burner.
Right.
And you've said a really crucial key thing is living with intention and, mindfulness. You got to notice what you're noticing. And you have to be intentful with the way you talk to yourself, the way you talk to your peers. How can you help with someone, let's say they're just kind of coming to the realization of not having intention in their life. How can you help someone start noticing what they're noticing? I know
First
that's a
thing
really broad question, but
it is, but
some
it's a
people
great
need the
question.
basics.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The first thing that came to my mind when you asked that question is slow down.
Mhm.
Because the reason that we get into a state of overwhelm is because we choose to put ourselves in situations and buy things and do things and sign up for things and subscribe for things that continually are stimulating us 24/7. Even when you're laying in bed, you're getting notifications on your watch or on your phone or whatnot. And you have the conscious opportunity every day to unplug yourself and unsubscribe yourself from that constant stimulation and from what the world and society has told you that you should be doing. You should be getting married at this age, you should be having kids, you should be working this job, you should be XYZ. You should be doing what brings you joy because you always will be in your most attractive, abundant state when you're full of joy because it's inherent. Our bodies want to live and be and exist in a state of balance or homeostasis, right? And that's why, as a pharmacist, as a wellness and lifestyle coach, it's all connected. So I really believe that the balance is key between mind and body, the way that you
Mhm.
perceive things, the way that you are overwhelmed or not overwhelmed, that directly manifests in a physiological way in your body. That's why people, it takes the toll on them, but they just may not see it outwardly for 10 or 20 years.
Yeah. I was actually just talking to my mother before we jumped on this conversation, and we were kind of talking about her mother. She ended up passing away from cancer at a, when my mom was really young, and she was in a marriage that wasn't the healthiest for her, and her body, she got sick from it, you know? And it's so true. Like when we're not happy and vibrating at like levels of joy and happiness, our body starts like attacking ourselves. Like when
Mhm.
we're stressed out and stuff, and it can cause disease, it can cause illnesses, and unfortunately, maybe an early death. Um, so it's really important, and I think that you bring up that we need to be mindful of our environment, because if we're not living in the most joyous parts of ourselves, then we could end up sick. And
Right.
our
Mhm.
bodies do have physiological reactions. Now, do you have any like core pillars of a treatment plan where it comes to like a balanced body or a balanced mind?
Yes, yes, balance is so crucial. And because body and mind are connected, I will say that 9 times out of 10, where that issue is stemming from is the gut. And you hit the nail on the head when you said that not being in your most joyous state, or not, being in a place or a time where you can be happy and you can be abundant, and these types of things can lead to disease. How does that happen? It starts with inflammation. Disease is dis-ease. Your body is at dis-ease, right?
Yeah.
And that's really all that it is, but it starts in an inflammatory state, and your body, what it's doing with inflammation is it's attempting to protect you. And that's great. But when you're having inflammation and you're in a state of chronic stress for, again, 20, 30, 40 years, that could be in the form of a bad relationship, or, a medical condition or something like
Hmm.
that. That's when these chronic issues, unfortunately, can end in death, right? So by slowing down, by really having a higher level of consciousness and understanding of what brings you joy and happiness. And for a lot of people, they don't know what joy and happiness is. Like, that's a lot of
Hmm.
the work I do with my patients and clients, is helping them uncover and peel back the layers of what that is.
Yeah.
But bringing it back to how it manifests in the body, a lot of that starts in the gut. And the reason why is, you've probably heard that the gut is referred to oftentimes as the second brain. The reason why is because the two are directly connected. They are physically connected.
Okay.
Roughly 80-85% of the serotonin, which is one of those feel good, endorphins in our bodies, is actually made in the gut. So if we're eating trash, we're going to feel like it. And
Hmm.
it's actually one of the easiest, and I feel like the most encouraging pieces of information that I can offer is that these overprescribing of antidepressants and chronic type issues and things like this, they don't have to be like that going forward. We can start by healing the gut. And I
Hmm.
can't even tell you the amount that moves the needle in someone's health when we start there and we heal the gut, which is really the basis for a healthy mind. A healthy gut is a healthy mind.
Hey, friends, I hope you are enjoying this week's episode of Not Your Mama's podcast. This podcast would not be possible if it wasn't for the support of you, my wonderful community. To support Your Mama's podcast, please click the support link right down below, and you can donate just as little as 99 cents. Also, follow me in the Shop Like to Know It app, where you can follow me with all my exclusive content, all the way from baby products I love, fashion and style, and everything in between. Now, let's get back to the episode. Yeah, I've never put those two together, but it makes so much sense, because
Mhm.
sometimes when I get really like anxious or stressed out, I do get stomach pain, and
Mhm.
it's been more than ever. And I'm starting to like put it together. Like I have to like breathe it out and like calm my mind, or else like it feels like I have a bunch of knots in my stomach. And that's like never happened to me before. It's like a new thing. And so my body's probably like alerting me to like some danger.
Right. Well,
Or
you're exactly
something,
right.
like I need to get with it.
Yeah, the body is so smart and it knows exactly how it needs to react to alert you of what the problem is. It's just that I think that we fail to recognize it a lot of times. It's happening in the background. We're just not, because we're moving and shaking, we're doing things so fast, we're overwhelmed all the time that we're missing those signals. We're just missing
Mhm.
it.
So
Mhm.
let's say someone's having gut issues like me. What would you suggest to them to kind of get back in that harmony of not having those symptoms?
Yeah. The first place I always look is at nutritional deficiencies
Okay.
or micronutrient deficiencies. And it requires, of course, some more in depth questioning, like the type of medications that they're currently on, because a lot of mainstream medications actually directly cause nutrient depletion. So,
Mhm.
I mean, you could be eating all the good stuff, but if you're taking certain medications, we know because science backs it up that they cause nutrient depletion. So, if you're not repleting those, then you're going to have an imbalance. So, I always start there
Okay.
because why would you try to go down this very complex process of over medicating a symptom, for example, when you can just replenish what you're deficient in, right? It's
Yeah.
actually very straightforward.
Mhm.
So I always start with the supplementation and the micronutrients. A lot of times antioxidants and vitamins and things like that, particular and individualized to the person, will turn them around so quick. It is incredible. And really, that's actually encouraging. I really want people to know that this is easier than it seems. It seems like a big task to tackle, but
Mhm.
again, we can make small changes, which create and facilitate healing very, very quickly. Um, Micronutrients, say like magnesium, or vitamins like vitamin D, vitamin C, right? I mean, the recommendations will be individualized to the person, but I'm just saying that these are so crucial to hundreds, if not thousands, of functions in the body that are responsible for maintaining gut function and brain
Mhm.
function. So let's start there.
Yeah. No, it's important. There's so many people have so many gut issues in the world.
Mhm.
And it
Yeah.
probably is because it's stressful living the American dream?
You got it.
Seriously. Oh my goodness. Okay. So I have 4 questions I ask all my guests. I would love to hear your answers. And my first question is, who and what inspires you?
So I think the people that inspire me the most are the ones that are actually willing to get down and do the ugly work. I call it ugly work because it's not fun, but at the end, the result is awesome. I'm
Mhm.
talking about the people that are willing to sit in the discomfort of, hey, this is a nutritional change, or this is an intention change. This is helping me grow through my discomfort to make me the better person.
Mhm.
And again, it's all connected, and so it takes courage. Courage is bravery, and it's really stepping out of your comfort zone, knowing that the change is going to be difficult, and doing it anyway.
Yeah. No,
I, I love
totally
seeing
agree.
that. It's encouraging to me.
Yeah, no, when people have the courage to step out of their comfort zone and make those changes, because we are creatures of habits. We don't like to change what we think is working. We'll just stay on the hamster wheel and just keep running and running and running. But once you get that sense of intention and notice what you're noticing and start making those shifts and like putting your big toe into like the deep water, it's phenomenal, and I totally agree with you. I love seeing people shift and change and moving from one spot to another and just, like, growing in themselves.
Right. No, it's very, very inspiring, and I'm constantly inspired by my clients too. So that's a win for me. But as far as what inspires me, I really think what is waking me up every day and what's keeping me as a healthcare professional on top of what is new and what is exciting is that there is constantly a need to uncover true, accurate information
Mhm.
when it comes to healing. I am a firm believer that education and knowledge is power. And the more that we uncover untruths or misinformation and have the opportunity to encourage people is it's so exciting to me. And watching people make that transformation is there's nothing like it. There really is nothing like it when someone says, you helped me get my life back, right? Because it's never just the life or their life, it's their family life, it's their marriage, it's the way that they parent, the way that they show
Yeah.
up for themselves. It's so much bigger than that.
Yeah. No, that would be really rewarding. I would, it's like, oh, I helped you, you know? So my second question is, what is something you wished you knew when you were younger?
Ooh, that boundaries are actually attractive. We hear a lot about boundaries and we hear that they're good to place down and they're good to protect yourself, but just like we were talking about, being in your most joyous state is very attractive. That boundaries are very attractive. The amount of respect that you gain from others, from peers, from coworkers, from your family, from children, especially as little kiddos,
Mhm.
they want you to put down the boundaries. They don't like it, but they actually want you to, because they're learning and they're understanding and their mind is getting nourished by that.
Yeah.
And sometimes, is again, as uncomfortable as it is one of the most attractive things, even if you don't like the answer, if you have a boundary set against you, to see someone who is courageous enough to set down a boundary. And I'm a firm believer that we have to do that to protect ourselves, to protect our families, to protect our businesses, and to protect others as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Boundaries. We can have like a whole other discussion on that, which we should have because
We should.
I feel like it's hard to sometimes set boundaries or like voice what your boundaries are. I mean, I know I'm still learning how to set my own boundaries and stuff like that. So I definitely agree and love your answer on that because we need to be better at setting boundaries over here at the Francie house over. Well, Christina Francie needs to be better. Okay, so my third question is what's the essential part of your daily routine?
Mm. Other than coffee, because I'm never going to miss that,
Yeah.
I always need some spiritual nourishment in my day.
Mhm.
And I love listening to podcasts. I have a podcast called The Daily Radio Bible that I listen to every day. And I love that because it centers me, it grounds me. It's like 10, 15, 20 minutes, depending. And it just reads through the Bible. In full transparency, that's something I've always wanted to do, but it takes a lot of time to sit down and also be dedicated to doing that, right? And this way I
Mhm.
get to listen through it. And I just feel like it gives me such a positive outlook for the day.
Mhm.
For somebody that might be working out or doing something that gives them that feel good feeling before they leave the house, and for me, that coffee and that daily radio Bible, that's where it's at.
Yeah. Well, sometimes it's like always like the message you just needed to hear at that time too. It's like funny how it works like that. It's like,
Right.
oh, I needed to hear this message today. This is
Exactly.
it's funny how it works like that. And then my last question is best advice you've ever received.
Oh, trusting the process. And that's hard for me. Even now, that's hard for me to do that. But every time that I have slowed down and taken my own advice to slow down and stood back and really trusted the process, the reward has always been bigger
Mhm.
and more fulfilling, more fulfilling.
Yeah.
You're not choosing what is the most convenient at all times. And honestly, this is something that is still a big challenge for me. I still struggle with trusting the process, but I guess that also excites me that it still challenges me because I know there's still something in there left to achieve, left to accomplish, and hopefully I'm not the only one.
Yeah. No, you're not. No, I'm the same. I feel like I relate to a lot of your answers that you've said, which have been really great. Um, so Brianna, do you have any last words before we say goodbye today?
Yeah, I just want to send a message of encouragement to your listeners, and I know that that's why they come here in the first place, to feel like they have a place that they belong and a place that feels familiar and where they can learn. And I always just want to encourage you, if you're listening now, to ask the questions, to advocate for yourself, And to know that if you don't feel your best right now, if you don't feel at your best as far as your health is concerned, and you've lost balance in your life, there is hope for you. I guarantee you that, because you deserve to feel your very, very best. And if something doesn't feel right, you know your body better than anyone. So listen to
Amen, sister. I love it. All right, guys. Well, all of Bryana's information is down below in the show notes. Don't be shy. Please go over there and say hi. And thank you so much for listening to another episode of Not Your Mama's podcast. And I hope to see you in the next one. Bye, guys.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Not Your Mama's podcast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. We really appreciate it, and we'll see you in the next one.